Bobby asked, what's your workflow on recording and engineering big, bright pop vocals? I thought this would be fun because I could just give like a quick thing on the more recording side, and then you could give a quick thing on the mixing side. Bright pop vocals specifically, I mean, obviously people love things like a C800, but anything that has good high end, I think you want to go after that. One of the things I've been thinking about recently is because I've been in a bunch of different studios, being in New York, being in London, being in the Bay, back in LA, and not always having all my stuff. Making sure that the vocal chain sounds good and not over committing to things if you don't know what the setup is, because you can do so much stuff in the computer with things like Spectre, which I posted on my Instagram yesterday. I just posted a high-end boost and got like 35 responses. People being like, I love this plugin so much. You guys turn me on. You know, there's so many things you can do in the computer. You have so much dynamic range that not over committing to things on the recording side. The other thing that I've noticed a lot is just get a little further away from the mic. A little bit of mic technique. You know, if the mic is here, put the pop screen like here so people aren't just like this on the mic, because that's going to screw up your proximity effect and screw up your sibilance. And the more trouble you have with sibilance, the more annoying it is to mix and make it bright without sounding insane. So on the recording side, those are just some quick thoughts about it. You got quick thoughts on big pop vocals?
Most of my work to get big, bright pop vocals is reducing everything that you just said that you would add, right? Without
I wouldn't add.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it, but you know, you wouldn't do it. You've never done that. Don't
overcommit.
I reduce brightness before I add brightness, so I'm constantly reducing. I'm doing surgery to make bright pop vocals happen, and I think I place the brightness in other areas that people think brightness is placed. And I could be wrong, but when I get a great reaction from a pop producer that wants a pop vocal, I'm doing things that I don't even think are pop, like super deep cuts in the upper mid presence area and getting that super air clean on top without having to add any, right? Like maybe use Spectre. I know I saw that photo as well, and that's kind of the thing. It's a really good tool for that. And I'm doing it now on this country album I'm mixing, and it's super clean top end on a well-recorded vocal. But there's a lot of clip gaining. There's a lot of fixing of S's and breaths and all the stuff that, bad mic technique gives you, is what you're talking about. Just being a little too close. There's a lot of that. Maybe in the verse, you're so close and others roll a little mid and you sound like this. So then when you get to the chorus and you're up high and you're further back because you think you're supposed to go back, then this sounds too thin. So it's like a whole thing, and you're splitting out to different tracks and you're doing different phrases on different tracks, and it just becomes really tedious and not creative. And then I guess my point is there's a tip and a trick at the end of my rant here, which is after you do all the tedious work, go for a walk, and then send all the tedious work to a vocal bus group of some sort, that you then, after you fixed everything, you can have an overall approach again at the vocal. On
you treat it as the vocal. Yeah.
Yes. After you do all this work. But the big piece here is go for a fucking walk. 20 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour.
I did exactly that yesterday. I spent all this time comping the vocal, and this was for comping, not for mixing, but the same sort of thing where details, one section. Okay, is this? Let me nudge this. Let me pull out this little blah, 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 blah. And then once I got that done, I'm like, cool, I'm going to take a 10-minute break. I'm going to go walk around. And then I came back and I just listened through it, and I'm like, pick that thing. And then
it's the vocals only way. It's the only way. I've been recently really enjoying mixing vocals from scratch, like taking everyone's shit off, keeping a reference there, even maybe just bouncing a stem of the vocal bus that has been sent to me as is. I'll commit it and I'll have it there so I can A/B to make sure I've improved it. But I'm just going to go from scratch. And I tend to go into it with like a deep sigh and go, all right, let's go. Like it's almost like another workout. It's more of a mental workout and like a keystroke workout to like do all this clip gaining. But the reward, it's been paying off with me with a couple of producers that are really feeling it. And everyone keeps asking about this healing song. That's what I did on that song. It was very specific, and I've gotten a lot of love for that vocal. And that actually gave me the confidence.
Which song?
It's a Fletcher song. Okay. And that was the first time I kind of went really in what I'm talking about now. and really sculpted a vocal the way I want to hear a pop vocal, but dense and limiting and whatever clipping, whatever I'm using to reduce dynamic range to make it pop and dense and forward. You know, when you're on AirPods, for example, AirPod Pros and AirPod Pro Maxes, in pop music, what you'll notice is a constant density in top end, right? We've probably talked about this on previous episodes.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's really exhausting, and you hear like you hear a lot of sibilants and S's and consonants that aren't treated properly into that. So maybe overly de-essed or hitting the compressor too hard. So that's when the threshold is triggered. So why would you want the threshold to be triggered at that? I don't understand. You want the threshold to be triggered at like the base level of what the musicality and notes are. That's how you get an expressive full tone. You don't want the transients to only compress the vocal. So if you balance out your transients, your consonants, all that stuff, the sibilants, you'll get a more balanced vocal, and then you'll be able to control that top end density without it being so jumpy and spiky, which is weird to my ear. So I started this and I used that song because her vocal was really airy on that, especially in the pre-chorus and the verses and stuff. So I was really going deep into this, and it really worked out for me. And I don't really know how else to talk about it except for there's tender love and care.
Thanks for watching. Just a reminder, all of this content is free. There's no secret knowledge here. We don't have sponsors. We don't run ads. We don't have a Patreon. All that we ask in return is that you share it with somebody. Thanks.